So in this video I'm going to show you how to create and deploy a token or a fungible coin on Aptos blockchain. So I want to make this as simple as possible, but before we go right in, we're making a few assumptions. I want to assume that you already have the Aptos CLI installed, and you already have some basic programming experience or programming knowledge. So this tutorial is for people who already have basic programming knowledge. I'm not going to teach you how to write move code in this tutorial. There will probably be some other videos for that, and also for installing the Aptos CLI. So let's begin. So first things first, let's create a folder for our project. So I'm just gonna cd into my GitHub folder and then create. So let's call our project fun token. Alright, so now let's open up the folder. Right here, we just search for fun token. Alright, so now we have a folder. So let's initialize a project here. Aptos move init name fun token. So there we go, we have a Aptos project initialized, and then we have our move.tml which contains our dependencies. So let's add a new entry into this file. Let's add addresses. So move modules need to be deployed from an account, or they need to be deployed under an account. So we're going to deploy from an account. Let's call our account admin. Alright, so now we need an account to deploy from. So let's create one with the Aptos CLI. Aptos init. Alright, so just click enter, enter. And done. So now we have ourselves an account. So if you check the new folder that was generated, you would see the configuration files. So here we have an account that we can copy, and you don't have to worry about the private key and everything. I'll probably never use this ever again. So this is just for learning purposes. So I'll just add an OX. It's not really necessary or compulsory, but I just like to do that. Okay, so now let's write our code. Let's create a file here, fun token dot move. Alright, so first things first, we would have to define the address we're publishing from. Address admin, and inside the address we have our module. Let's call our module fun token, and here would contain the code for the module. So let's import a few libraries to use. First we'll import the Aptos framework coin. So we're importing the coin module from the Aptos framework library. Next, let's import the signer module from the standard library, and then would import the string module from the signer library also. So basically we would need to initialize the token, and the token name and token symbols are strings, So we need uh, naturally move doesn't support the string type, so we need a module that lets us write strings in move code. So this library lets us write string elements within our move code. So for most of the functions that we'll write, we'll be doing some unit tests using the Aptos CLI also, so we can test using the command aptos move test, and would get a success message if our test is successful and if our code is clean. But if we have warnings like this, would also get message for the warnings here in the terminal, and if there are errors, would get error messages also. So let's continue. So now we've imported our libraries. Now let's define our structs. So this struct is basically a representation for the token marker. Let's define another struct and call it coin capabilities. Then would assign a phantom type to this for a coin name, and then we'll give this struct some ability, give it a key ability, and within the struct we'll define some capabilities. So here we have mint capability, and we'll use the coin module for mint capability. Alright, of course we're referring to the fan token, and then also born. So these are basically functions from the coin module, so it's not rocket science. They already defined functions from the coin module. So let's also define a freeze capability. Alright, so now we have structs for coin capabilities, and then let's define some errors. So in move, you define error messages using const. So let's define an error for that will be returned when someone tries to perform an operation that is restricted to only admins. So when you're defining constants in move, you have to write the type. So this error message will return a number which is an integer. So let's assign 0 to this, and then let's also define an error message for when you try to perform operations that you don't have capabilities for. So let's call this no capability. U64 and 1. Then let's define 1 for when capability already exists. Has capability. All right, so now let's write some functions. Very first function would be a function to initialize the fan token on the Aptos network. So we want this function to be executed immediately the module is published on Aptos. So we want it to run side by side or alongside the deployment transaction. So we're going to use the entry keyword, the public entry function. Let's call our function init fan. So we're initializing the fan token, and then we'll pass in an argument for account, and type would be the signer. All right, so now we have argument. So let's write the instructions for the function or the commands that are to be executed. So first, so let's about capability, mains capability, and then freeze capability. We want this to be equal to coin initialize. Now initialize is a function that can be found in the coin module from Aptos framework. You can check that out later from their GitHub repo. So initialize would take a few arguments. The first one is account, then the name of the token or the coin that is being initialized. So we're going to use the string module so that we can write strings here. Fan token, then symbol, fan, the decimals 18, and then a boolean value to indicate whether the supply is to be monitored or not. True. And then we'll exit this statement. Let's try to run. Okay, let's continue. Let's finish the function. Okay, could not infer this type. Try adding an annotation. Okay, yeah, I forgot to add the coin type that is being initialized. So let's run this again and see what we have here. Okay, we're not done with the function, so let's just continue. So now we're going to do some checks for this function. So after the initialization, we want to do some checks. So let's assert that the signer is the same as the admin account. So we're gonna do signer column address of account equal to the admin. So if it is not the case, return error no admin. All right, then let's do another check. This time we want to check that capabilities do not already exist. So coin capabilities for the fan token do not exist in the admin account already. So if it already exists, we'll return the has capabilities error message. And then let's move all capabilities to the admin account. Move to capabilities for the fan token. And then the account, which is the signer. So here we have our mint capability, our bond capability, and then the freeze capability. So with this, our first function is complete. So let's run the test and see what we have here. So we're getting an error message. Let's see where it's coming from. So here we have mint capability. Okay, let's change the position of this and run it again. Let's see. All right, so I guess we made a mistake with the order of the capabilities. Okay, so now we've written our first function and our tests are successful. So now let's write a function to mint tokens from the admin account. So here we have public mint. So our arguments for this be the account, the signer, then the amount to be minted, which should be a number, then would need to acquire the coin capability, so basically this is to ensure that whoever is minting the token has capabilities under his or her account. So if there are no capabilities, you won't be able to mint. So we don't want just anybody to be able to mint tokens for free. Now let's add the instructions. So let the account address be equal to, let's just write this completely. Let this be the signer address of account, and then we'll do some asserts. We'll check that the account address that we just defined now is equal to admin, else return the not admin error. Then also we would want to also check that means capabilities exist for the account that is calling the transaction. So let's add this. So if the capabilities do not exist, return error, no capabilities. So let's define a variable called mint capability. Let mint capability be, so we're going to borrow the ability to mint from coin capabilities. We have fun. Then the account, which was the address earlier, the account address, that means capability, which is the first one defined here. So this variable means capability is basically uh, selecting or fetching the mint capability of the current account. If it has, then of course it will be able to mint, or if it doesn't, it won't be able to mint tokens. So now final instruction, so coin dot mint fan token, then the amount, then mint capability, and that will be all for this function. So let's run our test. We have an error in line 37, so let's check line 37, invalid call of assert. Valid arguments for parameter 0. Oh, all right. So our tests have come back successful. So this is not really necessary, but let's add a function to bond tokens. Let's add a function to bond tokens. Since we can mint, then we should be able to bond too, right? So bond, of course, once again we're passing the account, and okay, so when you're bonding tokens, you don't need to pass in the account. You just need to pass in the token type that is being bond, the amount of that particular token type. So we're going to use coin, and then the type. So let's have fan token. So it's going to acquire our coin capabilities just like the main function did. then let bond capability equal to so we're gonna borrow this ability also. Borrow global. Borrow it from the coin capabilities of fan. So of course the address has to be the admin. You can always update the code to support burning from every other account. I believe everybody should be able to burn tokens if they choose to. It shouldn't be restricted only to the deployer, but in this case we're doing it just for the deployer. So then we have burn. And the coins to be burnt, and also the bond capability, and that's all. So let's just add this here. So let's run our test again. Aptos. Alright, so our tests are successful. So we've successfully written the code for the fan token. So now let's deploy. So before we deploy, we need to have some Aptos tokens or Aptos coins in our wallet to be able to deploy it. So let's copy our wallet address once again, and then we'll drop some Aptos coins to ourselves using the Aptos account fund with faucet. Just hope this is right. Alright, so we've gotten 10,000 tokens or coins to use. So now let's deploy our module. We'll use Aptos move publish. So you can, for automated task, you can write custom shell scripts that you can run by batches so that you can automate your deployments and everything. But since we're just deploying one module, we don't need any of that, so just run Aptos move publish, and let's see. Alright, so our token has been deployed on the blockchain. So we're going to copy our account and open up the Aptos Explorer. Alright, so let's post our account. Just add the OX first, then now as you can see, our account already has a transaction, and if you check the this transaction, you see the details. You check payload, publish package transaction. So we just published our module called fan token. So right now our token has been published to the blockchain. So we can easily run the functions. Now that we've published our token, we can easily run all these functions. We can run the mint function, and then we can run the burn function. So thanks for watching. That will be all for this tutorial. I hope you can now publish tokens to the Aptos blockchain after watching this tutorial. Have a nice day.